one of our last topics here, college football. College football's back. It is a ridiculous college football season. Let's just run through some of these great storylines. Right off the bat, you got to say, I got to admit, I wasn't a true believer in this move, but now I see it. Deion Sanders, prime time, goes to Colorado, first game beats TCU.
It was fucking electric, dude. Travis Hunter, I think he solidified himself as the number 2 pick in this NFL draft. Let's say Caleb Williams decides not to, or let's say, in this situation, Caleb Williams is like, hey, I will go to any team but the Cardinals. And the Cardinals have the number 1 pick. It may be a viable option for them to just be like, hey, we're going to get Travis Hunter then. Travis Hunter played all the snaps on offense. He played all the snaps on defense. He had 10 catches?
11 catches.
11 catches, and he had a pick. It was fucking electric. Shedeur, Deion's son, looked awesome. And afterwards, Deion came out and said, hey, we went to a camp and TCU's offensive coordinator disrespected Shedeur, ignored him, didn't pay attention to him, didn't think he was a high-level quarterback, so we really wanted to run it up on them. He threw for over 500 yards. So it was just awesome to see, and I think this really does set up for, in a few weeks, they're going to play USC and Caleb Williams, and that's going to be a lights-out matchup.
Is it going to be at USC?
I believe so.
How much are the tickets for that? Can we get to that game?
Let's see, Colorado.
That would be probably the
no. It's at Colorado.
I'd still go to that.
It's September 30th. I'll look into it. We'll see.
Yeah, if there's any college football game,
that's going to be fucking crazy.
Is that going to be the most electric college football game of the season?
I don't know. There's a couple. I think in
cheapest. Country. Okay, guess the price of the cheapest ticket for this game at Colorado.
At Colorado, what is it? Like $300?
$243.
Oh, hey, that's doable. That's doable.
I mean, yeah, that's doable. But do you think how much do you think a Colorado ticket was last year?
Oh, dude, it was probably
$30.
If for box seats.
Yeah, if you guys are in the area, definitely get some tickets right now to that game because that price
is only going to go up. The more
it's going to
go up. The hype around it is going to be crazy. I might just buy a ticket just to flip it later. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be insane. Yeah. I think Coach Prime made the best call, and I think the Pac-12 as a whole, it's fucking dead, but it's also fucking electric. Like, no Pac-12 teams lost their week 1 game. It looks awesome. So they have Caleb Williams. This is really one of the conferences with the most quarterback talent. They have Bo Nix. They have Caleb Williams. They have Shedeur. They have Mike Penix. I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but man, just those guys alone are now we're talking about round 1 quarterbacks.
It's awesome. It sucks, man, because I didn't want the Pac-12 to die. Like, this feels weird being like Bay Area and like loving that conference specifically of college football, and now it's just gonna be gone.
I mean, they fucking did it to themselves, dude. When instead of striking while the iron was hot and really feeding into the conference, they chose to just do bullshit. And so, yeah, I think this influx of talent obviously has to do with the move to the Big Ten, the move to these other conferences where it's more exciting and people actually give a shit about football specifically. Whereas in the Pac-12, it really felt like, oh, we're going to share the wealth here. We really care about, all these other sports when that your bread gets buttered with college football. So let's lean into that. Let's give these football programs as much as we can, and then we'll figure out the rest from there.
Yeah, and where it felt like a lot of these past couple seasons, like a lot of these Pac-12 schools had talent where you're like, oh man, maybe they will like take a run at it. Like no one's gotten close to a national title, but with these moves to these better conferences, that's a possibility that they can get enough talent and get up there in the rankings and win consistently. Because it was like, oh, UCLA has a lot of guys this year, and then they end up losing 3 games. USC, I don't know, and then they lose 2 games, and they're like, yeah. So Washington almost got it 1 year.
Yeah.
But then after that, the talent, like guys get drafted, talent falls off because no one's going to Washington for Power 5, you know?
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. It is sad to see, but it is like we have this 1 year, and this 1 year is just it started off with a bang.
One last ride.
Yep.
Pac-12.
Last dance.
Yep. You guys go to all your California college football games this season because it's not going to be the same. And then Duke beats Clemson. Man. What's the quarterback for Duke? It
is Riley Leonard.
175 yards passing, 98 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Beat Clemson. And then did you see he he's getting interviewed after the game? And he's like, "Hey, professor, can I get an extension on this assignment? Because it's due at midnight, and I ain't getting it done."
Yep.
That kid's electric.
I also seen he's just a charismatic dude. Mm-hmm. I also seen that his mom texted him, "You suck," before every game to keep him humble.
Dude, that's amazing.
So it's cool to see. On the flip side, Clemson lost it, dude. Like, they just lost their edge. No one's scared of them anymore. They're in the ACC, which everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be the next SEC," and it's just not. And is Dabo on the hot seat? This is a couple years back to back where they're looking like it's not going to be anywhere near playoff mode.
I mean, who do they have other than the quarterback? Like, I don't think they have that top 5, top 10 talent right now, where a lot of these other schools, I feel like it's really leveled the playing field. Like, he was one of the people against the
NIL, yes.
Yeah, and for this reason exactly. Like, now all these schools, it feels like there's going to be some more parity in college football.
Well, yeah, he said that if they did pay players, that he would quit. And I think he knew, like, he does a certain branding of recruitment, and it just doesn't work when you cut down to the middle and you're like, "Hey, okay, well, what are you going to pay me?" And he's like, "Jesus in football, like, what do you mean? Like, this is what we do here." And they're like, "All right, but it's not a paycheck. Like, what are you going to pay me, bro?" Mm-hmm. And I just think it's a completely different landscape, and some guys are going to do well and some guys aren't going to do well. I don't think Urban Meyer, his horny ass, would come back. And do you see him hitting on that chick when he's supposed to go on live?
No.
It was like during it's during one of the like in between segments, and it shows like the camera and he's off to the side just chatting up some co-ed. But anyways, I don't think he would do well in this environment. I think it just takes a new approach to it. I don't know if he would thrive in it.
Yeah. So, like, the rankings right now, Georgia, it goes Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Florida State, Ohio State.
Florida State's back, dude.
Yeah. Florida State, USC's there, Penn State, Washington is number 8 right now. And then we got Tennessee, Notre Dame, Texas, Utah, Oregon. LSU's number 14. They lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you get through that, it's like, really, Oregon State's all the way up here. Like, Kansas State's up here. Duke is 21. So, yeah, Tulane is number 24 right now.
I mean, I think they've had a good program for the last couple of years, so that is not surprising that they are on the top 25. I think we're going to start to see them rise throughout the year.
But in the past, it would be like, okay, this team out of nowhere, like, smaller school that no one really cares about, starts to climb the rankings. They might peak at like the number 5 spot, and then they lose a game, fall back to like 15, and then the next season they're gone.
Yeah.
But with this new NIL, and you're paying some players and you can keep some talent, a team like that could keep on feeding the program and keep on getting better.
Yeah, and you got to have guys like JT Daniels, Keegan Slovis, these guys that have been around forever hopping around. Hey, I'm a quarterback. I have a lot of experience. I'll go to this smaller name school and let's go ahead and try to win some stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it is a little bit more viable for a smaller school.
This quarterback class right now, potential 2024 quarterback class: Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Shedeur Sanders, Michael Penix, Quinn Ewers, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Riley Leonard, Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Jordan Travis. How many of these guys could go in the first round?
1, 2, 3, 4. I would say right now, lock for me, if I'm like an NFL GM, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Shedeur, and Penix all go in the first round.
And I even throw Quinn Ewers at like a 32 spot in that.
I would say I would have Bo Nix a little bit ahead of him just because he's a guy who's been around a long time. He was at Auburn. He has big game experience. The one thing he didn't have was consistency. He had it last year at Oregon. He's trying to repeat that. We'll see what ends up happening. But this is a fucking potentially a crazy influx of talent coming into the NFL at the quarterback position. And everyone has talked about the last few years, like, oh, this is crazy. Like, there's so many quarterbacks.
We just had a loaded quarterback draft.
If you stack this class against all the others, it pales in comparison. Like, this class is stacked.
Can you imagine if like this is the class? And then we don't even know those guys who are gonna sneak in and be sneaky good. Like, looking back at this class back to back with the next one, we have like obviously the main guys who got picked, but then later in the draft, DTR's looking good. Jake Hayner looks like a solid backup right now. Eden O'Connell. Who else am I missing? Like, what's his name might start for the Cardinals.
So yeah, and I think if you are one of those teams like that have an older quarterback that you're like, I think the Titans could take another quarterback. I could see them being like, all right, well, we have to move off Tannehill. We don't feel 100% with Malik Willis or Will Levis. Let's just take a guy. Let's take Shedeur. Let's take Penix. Let's really figure this out. I could see that happening. The Vikings, the Giants. I think, let's say, the Seahawks are going to take it. So there's a lot of teams in the mix.
As someone who is a Spencer Rattler hater, I just don't like his attitude. Man, is he
Still
back?
Young.
Is he back? 30 for 39, 353 yards. If I could get Spencer Rattler in the 6th or 7th round, like, hey, he has potential. You never know.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
that's how deep this draft could be.
It's pretty crazy. So if you are one of those, or even you have a quarterback that you're like, I'm a little unsure, but like the fucking Cowboys. The Cowboys are like, are we really going to pay Dak Prescott when we can get
Trey Lance? Is Trey Lance going to have a job next year is the question with this loaded quarterback draft. Like, I would not get rid of Cooper Rush next year. And obviously Dak's going to be there. So that third spot, like, is Trey Lance going to have a job? That's going to be a good question.
So, I mean, it's really crazy. And you got to start to, if you are a team that has an older quarterback, you just look at him sideways like, hey, what are we doing here, buddy?
There's going to be a lot of people posting the Carson Wentz, hey, I'm still working out in all my former team gear here.
Yeah.
Because there ain't going to be a lot of jobs for these veterans anymore.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a crop like this come in of just talent, it's going to be cheap because you know it's a controlled contract. Wouldn't you much rather move off of what you have and just at least try to get something? Try to strike lightning in a bottle here.
If I'm the Cardinals, I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm waiting for Archie Manning. Arch Manning.